Welcome to
Ooh.
Skimming a Seat. We are at that point of the year where we are celebrating the films we really love that we talked about all year long, and now we
Mhm.
get to finally reveal to you how we slotted them. Essentially, each of us has our indie dozen list that we're going to unveil, and Brian has an honorable mention. I will throw in an honorable mention as well because I had one dilemma that I was working on for probably till about 8 o'clock this morning, Brian. So
Mhm.
I will mention that the film that didn't make the list that I reluctantly chose another film over, and I'll
Same.
explain why.
Bro,
But
mine lasted up to before we got ready to come on. Like I've been wrestling with this for the last 2 weeks, actually.
I mean, it was there was a lot of shaping of it. I will say, for the most part, 10 movies were pretty much solidified in my list. The
Yes.
last the last two were kind of trying to figure that out, and really, where I was going to slot them and everything. And then, of course, as things went on, we also had some movies that we talked about later in the year that, you know, and I mentioned this to you off camera, and I'll mention it on camera that the conversations with you changed a lot of my opinions of certain movies and where I would put them in the pantheon of how I felt about them. So, you know,
Yeah. This was a tough list for me because it's hard for me as a movie guy to do lists in a lot of
hmm
ways.
sure,
Like whenever people try to say, "Well, rank your favorite Star Wars movies," I can't because they're all part of the same world.
sure,
Star Wars Episode 1 to even if I begrudgingly Episode 9 and Solo and Rogue One, they're all part of the same movie to me.
okay,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
same saga.
yeah, it's all the same saga. Same thing with The Godfather, Rocky. They're all the same saga. It's the same
Mhm.
story for me. So listing movies is difficult because then I try really, really hard not to give any sort of credence or whatever to any filmmakers that may have reached out to us
Mhm.
because I don't want it to be overly personalized. It
Mhm.
has to be free of everything.
Sure.
And my last actually my top 5 was very easy for me.
Yeah.
My 6 to 12 and then my honorable mention, I was really trying hard because I it was hard to leave them out of the top 5, but I knew what my top 5 was going to be.
Same. I had a little bump in the between 5 and 6 and 7. I had a little tussle there,
Yeah,
but
same.
my top four were pretty solidified. Like I told you
Yeah,
off air.
my top 4 were set. It
Yeah,
was
I was pretty
tied
set by
down.
about June with my top four. It was going to be very difficult to knock those four films off of that pedestal.
Yeah.
But that being said, there has been a lot of great films we've been able to watch and see, and a lot that won't make this list that
There
we're sad about. Uh,
Absolutely. There was actually one that I truly thought was going to be on this list
mm,
that unfortunately did not make it. And then my honorable mention actually bumped it even from the honorable mention
okay,
because I had to really think about it.
understood. I
So,
totally feel that pain.
but that's a huge credence to the filmmakers of these 13
Yeah,
for these 13 movies
I
because
mean, we saw some great films this year. We
we
really did.
really did.
Um,
This was a great year to be an indie film fan.
I agree. Just to prove that we're live, I'll say hello to Anita and Sean.
Anita, Sean, what's up?
Made comments there. We wanted to start our episode though before we get into our list, and I know everybody's here for the list, so we don't want to dilly dally too much, but we have to talk about. We lost a huge giant in the film industry and a person that I personally think is one of the better actors out there who doesn't get a lot get a lot of love, but you know him because he's been in so many things, and
Hmm.
both of them have weird circumstances behind how they've gone this week, and it's been kind of just odd learning about both of them and their passing. We'll talk about Peter first because
Peter
Peter's the
Green.
lesser of the known two. But Mr. Peter Green, I mean, if you look at that face, you obviously know who this guy is. You've seen him in
You might not know his name, but you know this man's face.
I mean, to me, will always be Mr. Redfoot. But
he'll always be Zed. He'll always be Zed and
Zed.
Damien.
Yeah. But yeah, just weird circumstances surrounding his passing. He was only 60 years old. So
Dorian. Sorry.
What's that?
I said Dorian. I said Damien. I meant Dorian.
Yeah, Dorian. Yeah. We got you though. But yeah, Peter was one of those powerhouse actors that just he put in so much behind everything he did, and he was so memorable. He was a scene stealer. He's one of those guys I really look at and go, he's the guy who when you see his name in the credits, you know he's stealing that scene.
And no matter, and whoever you have as your lead had better bring their best. Otherwise, Peter Green is going to steal everything.
Yeah, he'll run right over you.
He really will. He's definitely, you know what? Peter Green is that type of actor, and I'll even put him up there with some other heavyweights. Like, I don't want to say, like, for lack of a better term, Steve Buscemi is a guy who he's not usually your leading man, but he's that supporting guy that if you don't bring it, you're lost. You don't want to be the guy who played Aladdin in the Aladdin remake, where you're being overshadowed in the singing by Naomi Harris, and then in the acting and the sort of the charisma by Will Smith.
Well, how about this for an apt comparison in the ultimate of ironies as well, because they shared the screen together in one of the most memorable scenes in Pulp Fiction. But Ving Rhames is a guy I think of when you think of that kind of idea. Ving Rhames is the guy who every time he's on screen, he's the most powerful guy. He's the guy you put your eyeballs to, and yet he's never had that leading man persona, but he's always had that character actor zeal to him.
Yes. I mean, even like when you look at, and I love that comparison that you have with Ving Rhames, because even when he was the lead character in Dawn of the Dead, it was an ensemble film, but he stole the show. Yeah. But even in their scenes together with Peter and Ving Rhames in that scene together in Pulp Fiction, there was just so much so much power in that scene. From the power shift to just the agony that he was in, and Ving Rhames trying so hard to hold back his emotion. And then when you look at how Peter was in a scene with some of literally probably the greatest actor of his time in Denzel Washington, but also Ethan Hawke, who was acting his ass off. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And in one of the most pivotal scenes in that film as well.
Exactly. And even, Peter did an amazing job in The Mask, where, this was Jim Carrey very early on in his film career. Yep. So Jim was bringing so much extra. And Peter Green was the straight man, the straight antagonist. Yeah. And it was amazing. So much good work. We lost a true heavyweight honestly, you look at, and when I'm looking at this picture of him right here, Peter Weller's role in his guest spot in Sons of Anarchy, that could have easily been Peter Green. And I'll tell you what, he probably would have been even more hated because he just brings that kind of energy.
Yeah. He just had that electric thing on screen. So, you really want to read about tragic endings. I mean, just to read what I've been reading lately is just incredibly, just sad and tragic. And hopefully they discover how everything went down and they find the person who was responsible for it, because it sounds like it's going to be complicated. So
and that's really the worst part about this world that we're in right now. I mean, it cascades right into our next tribute. God, this breaks my heart, because I grew up with Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
I grew up like we both did.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, All in the Family was before I was born, but I was watching All in the Family as a child.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
then,
It was one of my parents' favorite shows. So
right. And then I mean, come on. Then we're looking at The Princess Bride,
Mm-hmm.
Stand By Me. This is Spinal Tap. When
Few Good
Harry
Men.
Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men. I mean, my God,
Yeah.
this man had his fingers in
Spinal
so.
Tap.
I
Yeah.
mean, and what's weird is that his first film that he directed and was also in the last one that he did, they were the sequels to each other because he wrote and directed This Is Spinal Tap, and then he wrote, directed, and produced Spinal Tap 2: The End Continues.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
that is a bookend to end all bookends.
And not only that, but that is he created a genre between him and Christopher Guest. If not for this idea of Spinal Tap, there would not be such a thing as a mockumentary.
Right.
And,
We would not have The Office.
mm-hmm,
We would not have Parks and Rec.
mm-hmm,
I mean, there's so many, like, just the mockumentary genre is
mm-hmm,
because of Rob Reiner.
yep.
And look, I'm just like, and there's so many films that I didn't realize that he had done.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, like, North is one of the most underappreciated films of the 90s because people didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know, Ghosts of Mississippi. I'm sorry, but that is a film that is also not given enough credit
No.
because that is the tale of the murder of Medgar Evers, where the only reason why most of the mainstream of America doesn't add Medgar Evers' name when they talk about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X is because he was first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he just did a documentary with his best friend Albert Brooks, talking about Albert Brooks's career and life. Being Charlie is one of his latest
I
ones.
won't watch that movie because of I hadn't seen it before, but it was kind of on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I know the ramifications of it, I'm not gonna. I can't. I just can't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This film, I mean, this death really shook me because here's the thing: if your death has snapped James Woods of all people back to reality, bro.
Yeah,
Rob Reiner was one of the
let's pseudo reality.
Yeah,
It's not
a full face turn.
Yeah, he still put some jabs at Biden in that little
Yeah, he did. But the thing is with Rob Reiner though is that he was one of those guys that it's impossible to hate him.
Yeah.
I mean, and
100%.
the fact, and if you've got an issue with Rob Reiner, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and he worked with all of the greats. Every single one of them had a moment with Rob Reiner. I mean, John Cusack owes a lot to Rob Reiner. The Sure Thing. Rob Reiner was the guy who gave him the opportunity to be in 16 Candles. I mean, there's so much lineage with John Cusack, who was one of my all-time favorite actors.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise he worked with. He worked with all the greats. I mean, Jack Nicholson a couple times. Kevin Costner he worked with. I mean, he just there's the lineage for this man and who he's touched and what he's done. I guarantee you, any film person has a Rob Reiner film within their top 50 easily.
Absolutely, and I've got a couple.
I do too, but
and the fact of the matter is too with Rob Reiner is that there was a realism in him that could not ever be faked.
Yeah,
Rob Reiner was one of the last real guys in Hollywood. Billy Crystal's another. But oh god, it's
just sad the way it went down, and it went down with him trying to be loving and be the person that he is, and that's really tragic in that respect.
Yeah. And what's weird is I just saw a thing that said that apparently, him and his wife would truly want real empathy for their son, which, I mean, absolutely, a parent will want that, but there's certain people when, like, you hear people say stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, okay. Rob Reiner, it's like, yeah, like I would seriously picture Rob Reiner just having this look of just sad.
Yeah.
Like, in Rob Reiner is one of those people that you would never want to see sad, because his smile just lit up life.
Yeah. Well, and so Peter Green, Rob Reiner, thank you for all you did for film and for myself, and I'm sure Bryan will echo the same sentiments. And yeah, it's tough.
Thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for being a voice of reason in an unreasonable time, in an unreasonable world, and to an unreasonable character in Archie Bunker. Because I'm sorry, Meathead was so great in helping, like, and he's the reason really why Archie Bunker as a character worked, because he was always that voice of reason, that even though Archie would sort of push back, he would pause. Like, there would always be that subtle pause.
Yeah.
And that's what made it work. And I think that Rob Reiner, and I'm gonna and stop with this and say that I think that Rob Reiner's voice of reason as Mike Civic and as himself, I think that he helped white America to try to understand what Black America, Latino America, and just people of color go through. Rob, he was the guy who was the one that really helped white America to sort of try to see things from a different point of view. And you're never going to have another Rob Reiner. Never.
On that note, we are here to count down the best films of 2025, indie films.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited because this is my first time doing a Go Indie Now end of year countdown.
Excited for you, brother.
And and finally doing it as a full on contributor. I'm like, yay! So
you want to tell us about your honorable mention and the fight you had with yourself about it? So
yeah. So my honorable mention is going to be Ephes, our baseball film that takes place in New Hampshire, and a lot of that is because I really wanted to try to find a way to put it on the main list, but the heavyweights that are on there. Number one, what that film represents to me, I've already got a film on my list, and I kind of don't want to remove it. So it's like, I love the film. I love what it represents. I love the fact that it's going to show a bit of what I loved about living in New Hampshire, but how things are going to change, and how when you move into middle age, the world, you're like, look, kids, you're not going to get what moving into middle age means until you get here. And it's like, that's when you start to realize that, what, life is going to start taking a lot more than what it gives you.
So then what film unseated it? What is your number 12 for us all?
Number 12, Joe, is Our Happy Place. Yeah. This film, this horror film, it was so creepy. It was so, the one thing that I love about my horror is, number one, that it makes you not believe yourself. When you think something is one way and then it messes with you, plus the concern of waking up somewhere and not knowing how you got there. I
Mm.
mean, that is terrifying. That this film did such an amazing job of just setting up the tension.
I couldn't agree more. I think it is very it's very creepy and very interesting, and it has layers, and you're gonna hear more about it a little bit later on from me. But
Mm.
yes, I totally agree. The number 12 for everybody, our happy place for Bryan Tann. My number 12, my honorable mention that I struggled with trying to get onto this list. It was between there was two films that were working out on the 12 spot for me, and I
Mhm.
really what came down to for me, and this is how I looked at it. For me, it was really between these last two movies, and what I thought about it was, what would I watch again if I saw it streaming for free and was just scrolling around?
Gotcha.
And the one that I picked, I just feel like was more entertaining in the overall picture of things. And yes, I had issues with my number 12 as much as I had with my honorable mention. My honorable mention is Little Miss Psychopath.
Sociopath. You know
I
what?
really didn't. I had a hard time getting into the movie, right? And we're talking
Mhm.
about mockumentaries actually, and this is kind of an ode and kin to Rob Reiner. This movie really got going the second half of it for me, and
Yes.
was really amazing. Had an amazing third act.
The
I
third
mean,
act was great.
but to get into the movie, it took a little bit
You
of
had a lot. You had to
experience
sit
to
through a
get
lot.
there, and which is ironic because I think that the movie I picked for my number 12, uh, which is going. I told Bryan I'm going to knock him right off his chair to begin with,
Mhm.
uh, and my number 12 for 2025 is. I'm gonna drum roll a little bit.
Brrrr.
The Queen of the Ring, Bryan.
Whoa! Wow! All right.
When I looked at this and when I thought about it, and when you and Hartness were talking a lot about it, and I mentioned Disney-fied. I mentioned that to be funny. Honestly, I I I don't mind when a movie. I mean, Remember Titans is one of my all-time favorite movies, and that movie is fucking tragically Disney-fied. But
Mhm.
um, this movie is just so much fun and entertaining, and really Francesca Eastwood gives one of the best supporting performances. We'll talk more about performances down the road, but she
Mhm.
gives one of the best supporting performances I've ever seen in a film.
Absolutely.
She is fucking amazing in this movie. This movie is um, the expected Queen of the Ring to be higher. Uh, I yeah I had a yes I have a real problem with the history of this film and how it portrays the history of the NWA and of Mildred Burke,
Yeah,
because it doesn't do it justice enough in my personal
correct.
opinion.
That
But
and that's why this didn't make my list really.
mm,
Because now for one, Little Miss Sociopath almost made my honorable mention, but just like for you, for reasons that you stated,
mm,
for me with this film, I think this is a great pick. I really wish that I could have gotten this onto my list, but it was the way they mess with the history of the NWA, like you
mhm.
said. It has nothing to do with the performances. I think that why is her name? Why is her
Emily
name?
Rickards.
Thank you. Yes. She was amazing. Like she was not Felicity Smoke in this at all. And that's
Yeah.
I was so concerned that I was gonna see some Felicity pop out
Josh
and bit.
Lucas was great.
Josh Lucas is
I really
always great.
I also feel like they didn't give the justice of the wrestlers enough. Tony Storm
Co-
was Tony Storm in this movie, which is fine,
correct.
but but
That
yeah,
was really
this movie really. When I look at it though, I'd watch it again. I would watch it and I
I
would have
would
fun.
absolutely watch this if it popped up on Prime or Netflix. I would absolutely watch it. This is a well written film. There's nothing that's really awkward. It's just like we said, Disney-fied, a little bit more Disney-fied than I would have liked.
All right, you're number 11, sir.
Number 11 is a film that we've watched very recently. I had a lot of enjoyment out of this film. It did an amazing job in the time that it had. Even though you might have said that you wanted this to have a little bit more time, I felt that it was perfect for what it had. And now my number 11, Joe, is Night Call. Yeah. I'll tell you what I really appreciate about this is that this film really took me back to COVID and how just isolated we are feeling.
Do you mean a hot summer night?
Oh crap, I did. What did I do? No, I did mean to say that Night Call is my number 11 film.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm right. I'm sorry. Wow, I have been hit in the head one time too many. Night Call, number 1. You know what Night Call reminds me of? It reminds me of Patrick Dempsey's little appreciated film Run. Yes.
Yeah.
A young black man who is a locksmith on duty is tricked into opening up an apartment of a white supremacist, and his life is never the same again. This film, it's very insulated. The guy, like, this kid is literally alone. No one is helping him, and he has to really just go outside of who he is as a person just to survive. And all of this is happening during a violent Black Lives Matter protest that begins to turn violent due to outside agitators. It is amazing.
My number 11, Brian, is
number
Night
11.
Call.
Really? Oh wow! Look at that.
It's just a movie that didn't let me go. It pays homage to movies like Run, Lola, Run, Die Hard, even with the ending.
Yes.
This was kind of, I kind of describe it as, if Argyle was John McClane in this movie, would be that's what this movie is. The bad guys in this movie give me a little pause, and that's why it's a little bit lower on my list. But the action never stops. This movie goes right from the very moment it goes. The camera angles, the way it decides to get you close up and intimately, just shook so that it can move you around, is just a brilliant device that they utilize so well. They utilize color in this movie incredibly well, because it just spews at you, and it just keeps coming and keeps coming. It doesn't stop. And then as you're going along, because you're just as confused as the young man who's taking this adventure. As you go along, you get the bits and pieces put together of the puzzle, and it just makes more and more sense as it goes along. It's very well done in that respect. And that was my number 11 as well. So.
What I also appreciate is that a lot of the times when it comes to having good action, in indie films, it's either going to be good or it's going to be crap.
Yeah.
This time it was good.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah.
All right. We on there. Okay, I like it.
All right, what's your number 10, sir?
Number 10, I am not going to have a flip fluffle of my mouth or my brain. I didn't want to put this here. I honestly didn't even want to put this on my list.
Oh.
But the actors that are in it, the way they played their roles, again, it was just, I couldn't not. And I really, really, really wanted to omit this.
Okay.
Joe, my number 10, Eddington.
Oh.
I did not want to put Eddington on here because of the heavyweights in it. Joaquin Phoenix. Oh my goodness. Pedro Pascal. I love Emma Stone.
Austin Butler.
Yeah.
The list goes on and
I did not, and that was why I didn't. I actually wanted to put I'm having the brain fart again. You literally just said what I thought my number 11 was, and I messed up. Forgive me. I'm just broken tonight. I did not want to put this on here, but I couldn't let it go. Because granted, it feels entirely too long. The budget on this film is Like, honestly, I don't even feel like it should be called an indie film,
Yeah.
but it is. It's an indie film by technicality.
Yeah.
Because the budget on this is entirely too gigantic.
Yeah.
But the story is just so quirky.
I tell you that, like I said in the review, if this movie was an hour and 45 minutes to where it goes to, this movie would have been easily on my list, easily, because the beginning, this made me like Pedro Pascal. Like I said in the review too, I was not a Pedro Pascal fan before this movie. This movie actually turned my mind on him, and Joaquin Phoenix gives one of the great performances of the year. The two of them just have this great banter and this great chemistry that is undeniable, and you cannot remove yourself from the screen. It is wonderful, except for when it should have ended when it ended, and it didn't, and it kept going and going and going, and then it started to steal from other movies. And for me, I was out at that point.
Yeah, I wanted to put A Hot Summer Night here. I really did. Because, and I have to give A Hot Summer Night all the credit in the world in a second honorable mention. But there was just something about Eddington that I couldn't turn away. I think it was just the quirk of Joaquin Phoenix and just the ending that his character gets. Like, I
still to this day do not understand, but that's okay.
It's called comeuppance, man. It's called comeuppance. I love to see characters get their comeuppance. Plus, it was really, really funny to see my man Jamie from Yellowstone get the worst film death I have ever seen.
That was the only good part about the second half of the movie for me.
You want to know what one of the best parts of the ending for me is just seeing what Joaquin Phoenix's character is going through after those events. It's just hilarious to see. And you know what? The mwah, his mom, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But for the record, sir, I wanted A Hot Summer Night here. I really did.
Well, my number 10 is everyone asked about you.
Okay.
I think this is the most stylish film on my list. I think filmmaking wise is probably one of the better films that we'll have on this list. I really love it made me miss David Lynch. It made me reaffirm why I love French New Wave films. I'm the weird guy that likes to watch somebody smoke for 45 minutes in black and white and sit out a window and stare out at nothing. I just think that's riveting. This movie is riveting in that respect. Yeah, it's a little far-fetched. It's a little weird and quirky, and the acting is not perfect. But it is. But when they have their moments, they have their moments, and it's just one of those films that I love that it's nonlinear. I love that it doesn't apologize for anything it does, stylistically wise, filmmaking wise, storytelling wise. I love all of that aspect of it. I love that it's raw and gritty like it is, and that is why it was going to make my list. So that's my number 10.
Okay. I think, dude, this list is awesome. This is a great list so far. This is definitely a greatest hits of our 2025 of doing this show.
Yeah, that's what this is about.
That's right.
All right, your number 9, sir.
My number 9, I really wanted to put higher, but I couldn't. I'm taking it back to the beginning, like to the first half of this year with this pick, Joe. Scrap. Scrap is just, it's one of those films where, number one, if it's got Anthony Rapp in it, I'm there. Anthony Rapp is probably, we talk about actors that are underappreciated, Anthony Rapp is there. Because this is a guy who, he went from being able to play a horned up straight kid to just a loving good dude to an annoying ass reporter type in Rent, and then playing and it's very difficult to go from stage to screen. And some of your best actors are not just good on camera, but they're amazing on the stage. And this is a film for those that don't remember. A young woman is essentially living out of her car, trying to find work, lying to her big brother about what she's doing, while leaving her daughter to live with her brother and his wife. In this film, co-stars Lana Parrilla, who plays Anthony Rapp's wife Stacy, who you will remember as Regina in Once Upon a Time.
This is written and directed by the star as well.
Yeah, written and directed by Vivian Kerr, who is so talented. And I'm sorry, she is like she is the personification of Girl Next Door. Like I if I met her, I would probably swear I would probably swear that I knew her in high school. Like, she just has that down to earth level to her. And we got a return of Cleo Thomas, who was in, Holes. He was in Walking Tall with The Rock. He had a really, really great appearance in this film as well. This is a film. The one thing that I truly love about indie film is being able to tell very poignant stories. Not worry about telling stories. Boom, bang, wow, pow. No, this is not that. This is a low-key, character-driven story. Granted, I hated Anthony Rapp's character, Ben, because he's living the life that I want to live. And he's whining and complaining about having a living writing books. Right. F you.
JD says, I'm on the road, but dropping in to say cheers, Joe. Happy birthday and much love to Mr. Bryan Tann.
Thank you. My favorite homeboy on the island.
Thank you, JD. That's nice of you. This movie, very well acted, very well written. Just had some technical problems for me, and I think could have been edited a little bit better, to be honest with you. But it's in the middle of the pack for me, I would say. But, to be honest, but it's not on the terrible end of things. That's for sure.
Well, that's why this part of it is my list. I'm not going to argue with the birthday boy.
My number 9.
Whoa!
Hollywood.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah. I just generally love the message of this movie. The message of this movie is so beautiful and so plain, and just I love that. Well, first off, I love any movie that can make fun of itself. Self-deprecation to me is my love language in terms of comedy and film. And I appreciate when it's the artist who is the real person making fun of themselves in an elaborated state. And Sally Kirkwood deserves a ton of credit for that. It's not the best acted movie. It's not the funnest story. It's not the best storytelling wise, but it is so much fun otherwise. I just love the character actors in this movie. I love Kirkwood is beyond point on this movie. She is just above and beyond in this movie. And the movie just has just that special spark of something. It's hard to explain, but it's just that little magic of a movie that didn't put a lot of production behind itself, but put a lot of faith in the message it was telling. And I have to appreciate that tremendously.
Can I ask you just one question, though?
Yes, sir.
Who's Sally Kirkwood?
Oh, Kirkland. Sorry.
I love you, brother. I love you, brother.
but yeah, I mean, that's just for me. That was, okay. Which is ironic because we talk about how in the movie she gets mentioned a lot as the woman in MASH, which is just funny. But
yeah.
But yeah, this is just incredibly great message of a movie. I loved it so
absolutely
much.
Absolutely.
So that's my number 9.
That's your number 9. All right. So my number 8 really reminds me of one of my favorite indie films of all time that you and I purposely said I think we did say that we weren't gonna do. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But without further ado, my number 8 is Rockies.
Yeah.
I felt like this was just an amazing film. This is a film, I talk so much about in EFIS about getting to that point that you realize you're in middle age
Mm-hmm.
and whatever. Rockies is when you get to that point where you realize in your early 20s that you are no longer a kid,
Mm.
that now it's time to grow up. And Rockies is one of those films where it's very, very simple. It can be an everyday thing. This is where friends are coming together after a tragedy, and just how these people are coming together as adults. And some of the attitudes that were, yeah, it was maybe cool when they were in high school, and then just how pathetic it is as an adult. But it's because when you're in your 20s, it's scary to start to become the person that you are. And you really just want to hold to the person that you were because it's safe. So
I love the way that the fight scenes were filmed in this movie. The fight scenes in this movie
great.
are phenomenal.
And it was so low key because it looked like it would just be a fist fight, a neighborhood fist fight.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, this is one of those films where it's indie in every way possible. But again, the action and the fight choreography was very well done. Because I hate bad fight choreography.
I really do. Yeah, and I'm tired of the shaky camera bullshit.
Oh my god!
That's trying to make
when
it so
is that
real.
trend gonna go away?
This movie really does a good job of framing punches. It's okay for punches to come out of the screen into the screen. I loved all of that. I thought that was really brilliant in the way they filmed that, because that reaffirms that I'm right about the shaky cam shit, because it's not good.
Shaky cam is stupid. I will be glad when it's done. Look, if I wanted to get motion sickness, I would put on the Oculus.
Well, here's where I pick you up, my friend, because my number 8 film of 2025 is A Hot Summer Night.
Woo! And it truly deserves to be there.
I absolutely, after talking to you about this film, realized my production bias was holding me back a lot on what is really actually part of the reason why this film is so charming. We did not talk a lot about Oscar Torre and his amazing writing and directing in this movie, but he deserves. I would like to spend this moment of celebrating this movie talking about him, especially because this is a difficult thing to do. A one room, essentially one room, one location shoot that where you're capturing something that is of intimate detail and very much needed a lot of technology behind it and things of that nature. And what he does, because he's an actor himself, he just puts the camera there and lets it be whatever it's going to be defined as. He doesn't do any fancy trickery, and when he does, it kind of takes you out of the moment a little bit. But this is a super phenomenal performance by Chichi-2. This is an incredibly well done, tight 67 minutes that I think obviously I would love to sit in 80 minutes of, but I may not made my list if it was 80 minutes, to be honest with you.
It really didn't.
I think, but it also has two of the best moments I've seen in a film. Her playing with the piano, to me, just said there was so much said in that 5 minutes that didn't need any dialogue, didn't need anything but her discomfort. Her holding the glass, I still feel that right now. I still feel the moment when she is debating whether she wants to take another drink or not.
Yes,
that to me was it just resonated with me so much. This film is beautiful, it is wonderful. It has a great message. It has a great idea of what it wants to tell you about, and it covers so much ground in the short period of time that it is there, and it deserves a lot of credit for that.
Right. And two other things on that I definitely want to piggyback on you, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
The fact that directing one's spouse cannot be easy.
No.
And directing one's spouse with her having to be at a level of intimacy, just kudos, because that can't be easy for either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And just for them to have the professionalism and the talent to be able to do it, chef's kiss. Because, and I think what was really great is that now this is how you tell a story in using sensuality and sexuality without it being pornographic. And that
is an
final
incredible point.
in that final role playing scene, I was at work in tears. This was so well done. It deserves to be much higher on my list. I wish that I could have put it there, but unfortunately, some of these films that we're still talking about hit me in a different way.
Sure.
But this is a film that if it's ever on any sort of streaming platform, I'm watching, and I'm going to take it one step further, Joe. If it gets a physical release, I'm buying it.
Nice. Awesome. That's awesome. All right. How about for you, number 7, my friend?
Number 7, my friend, I have to. We agreed on this one. I just have it a little bit higher than you had. Everyone asked about you. Everything that you said, I have to echo, which is kind of why I was a little bit quiet. I also really just want to just look at, again, how our child actors are treated, how they're sexualized as teenagers, how they're hypersexualized as teenagers. Emma Watson went through it. Britney Spears went through it. Christina Aguilera went through it. Jessica Simpson went through it. Our character in this film, she went through it. And then as they get older and try to do things their own way, how they're just sort of cast aside. This film is an indictment on not just Hollywood's culture toward young women, but also our culture toward young women.
And as you put one of mine on your list, I put one of yours on my list as well, but a little bit higher, and that is Our Happy Place, my number 7 film of.
Oh, buddy! Look at us, man.
Look. Let's be honest. It was a very down year for indie horror. I thought mainstream horror kicked the crap out of indie horror this year. There was a lot of great mainstream horror. We'll talk a little bit more about a particular film on Sunday that we're going to acknowledge. But we're going to do that on Sunday. We're not going to do that right now. But indie horror really had a really hard year. This movie, because I think what is happening in indie horror is it's trying to just be that next thing that scares the shit out of you or tries to be too inventive. It doesn't stay within itself. This movie stays within itself so well. It just has this mainstream feel to it. And it moves and fucks with you. It has an incredible twist. And it's just creepy from the word go.
And you gotta pay attention to it.
Even the credits where it's this happy, beautiful, like montage of them living in this house and just being happy during Christmas time and everything like that is as creepy as it gets because it flickers and it does creepy shit. It messes with different genres where it goes into found footage versus creep horror versus body horror versus all these things. It really blends the genres together very well. It is wonderfully 90 minutes of good horror, and I love it.
Absolutely. And I think the part of the problem too with indie horror, and it's kind of started to, it wasn't just this year, it's been kind of coming. Personally, I feel like a lot of this happened when Pooh, Blood and Honey came out. There was this level of trying to have shock factor for shock factor's sake.
I would even bring it back to Hostel. I think Hostel really kind of soiled this genre.
Yeah. There was a point in time where the only way you were going to get good horror was indie. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street was indie in the earliest, like the first movie was indie. Matter of fact, Nightmare on Elm Street is what took New Line from indie to mainstream.
Yeah.
Even OG, Friday the 13th was very indie-esque for its time.
You think about all the backwoods videotaping trading we did with horror films, like Silent Night, Deadly Night, things like that. Those movies were all indie esque in their quality. Right?
I mean,
Soiled a lot of things. Yeah.
even when you look at films like comedy horror, like Evil Dead. Well, OG Evil Dead isn't really comedy
Yeah.
horror. That's
I mean that too, which
Evil Dead 2 is more a comedy horror, but even like Basket Case,
yeah.
where it
Yeah.
was
Ghoulies, I mean,
Ghoulies, yeah. Return of the Living Dead.
yeah.
But but nah, Our Happy Place did an amazing job, sort of. Hopefully, it re-kickstarts indie horror.
Yeah, I think if you want to look at how to develop a horror film staying within the trueness of horror, this is a really good thing. I mean, this you got to you mentioned we didn't mention Ari Aster, who was the writer and director of Eddington, but he really helped bring a little bit more to the indie horror forefront with Midsummer, especially. Heredity is one of those really creepy films. If you haven't seen Heredity, be prepared for just. Tony Collette. Tony Collette is one of my favorite actors of all time. So having her in anything is going to win me over. But he's one of those guys that I think has set a buck the trend for a little bit, and now that he's moving away from horror, I'm kind of sad about that. But we've got these Paul Bechdel's doing this with this film, and hopefully he does more of these kind of films because he's really good at creating this. So, all right, number 6, Bryan.
Number 6, I'm taking it back a few months back. This film really spoke to me. This was a great movie that I really feel like I think that we said a lot of great things about it. I wish we could have said more, and I think we're about to. Swing Bout. Swing Bout. Number 1, I'm sorry, Sydney Sweeney. You wish Christy was even remotely on this film's level. Okay,
1000%.
Swing Bout is an amazing film about a young woman who is now, for those that don't know boxing terminology, a swing bout is basically you're on the undercard of a main event. You may not even get to fight. You're showing up. You've been training. You show up and you might get told, yeah, you came here for nothing. And there's so much going on in the background of this film. And it's so well done. It's so well acted. And I have a weakness for British film. Maybe it's just the accents and just I love the UK culture. I love the working class UK culture. Like that's why John Boyega is probably one of my favorite actors of the last 10 years. And I have a bit of a gripe and grudge against Disney for misusing Finn, but that's another argument for another time. But I really feel like Swing Bout is just one of those films where, again, if I see it streaming somewhere, I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm probably going to buy it if I find it somewhere. And all of the characters in this film, the young women, even the antagonist is so likable.
Unbelievable.
When you get past what they're trying to do. The only people that are trash are the ones that you know are absolute trash. And if you know anything about boxing, it's the promoters and the managers.
Well, I'm staying quiet for a very good reason on this film. As I think Bryan's going to stay quiet on my choice of my number 6 as well. Because my number 6 of 2025 is Trigger Happy. I think cynical films ruled the roost this year for us. I think we were very lucky to be doused with a lot of cynicism and a lot of just bad people doing bad shit, but really funny, doing it really funny. There's going to be a couple of movies that are just a little bit better than this one in terms of doing that for me this year, and that's why it didn't creep into my top 5. It was there a couple times. I'll admit it was there because the ending of this movie and just the audacity of the two main characters is as good as it gets. and then the best skydiving scene I've ever seen in my entire life, you know, has to be acknowledged in this movie. This movie had just quirky cynicism and just beautifully done dialogue, well done pacing, well done acting, just creepy characters and really awful people being involved in it. And I really, really dug all of that. I really dug into it, and it just was just there at the tail end of my five. But it is my number six indie film of 2025 for
And
sure.
Trigger Happy is one of those films too where it really felt very Truman showy to
Hmm.
me. With if you recall, if you're a fan of the Orville, which if you're not, you should be. There was a episode where they went to a planet where your societal status was based on likes and dislikes,
Yeah,
and it's really sort of gave me that vibe as well.
yeah,
This was a fun film to watch, and definitely check it out. Check out some of our old shows when we first talked about it as well,
yeah,
because it's definitely worth your time.
yeah. So that being said, here is a recap of before we go into recap, we should mention that there's a good reason why we're not unveiling our top five tonight, and that is simply because
Joe won't
uh,
love me.
on Sunday we are doing our annual Loving Festival fill a year this year in Indies. Myself, Sean Hillman, and Bryan Tann will be there. And along with our indie films, I'm going to be unveiling my top five books, and Sean's going to be unveiling his top five RPGs. If you haven't seen Sean's 10 through 6 version of RPG, he did it live on his show Zero Means You're Dead a couple weeks ago. Go check that out so you can see his 10 through 6 picks. But his 1 through 5 will be unveiled, and Bryan and I will be unveiling our top five along with Sean. Sean has 5 films he'd like to mention as well this year. So.
And you guys are going to have me also, because I'll be on the road going to go pick up.
That's right.
My
Well,
son,
it wouldn't be this year in Indies unless somebody was in their fucking car. Let me just
That's
put it
true.
that way.
That's true. This time it's going to be me. And I'll tell you what, Joe. What was weird is last year when we started doing this, I felt kind of guilty doing it because of how Plotaholics ended.
Yeah.
And but this really just became just so important to my life, especially with my mother passing in September. Doing this show and and I'm working the Indies, becoming this year becoming an actual contributor, not just a friend to Go Indie Now, but an actual contributor and being on the team. It really just it meant a whole lot doing this. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and I give you this thanks because they say it's your birthday. Na 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 na. It's not my birthday too, though. Na 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 na. I'm glad it's your birthday.
It is my birthday, but thank you. I appreciate that. And this would not be possible without you. So I'm really, really, really excited that we're doing this and continuing this forward because I really love doing this show with you. I love doing everything with you. I mean, and we're really rocking and rolling with working the Indies as well, and I can't wait for more of that as well.
This is going to be great. I don't know if I'm going to be picking The Grinch That Stole Bitches, but I just might pick The Grinch That Stole Bitches.
There's more. We'll talk more about saving a seat and what's ahead. Well, actually, we could talk about it now because till 2026. We do have some plans for 2026 to do things a little bit differently, which involves you, the audience, as well. So if you're watching this right now and you have an indie film that you think Bryan and I should sit down and talk about, even if we've seen it, we'll still talk about it. So we're going to employ the audience to give us our fourth film. We are also increasing our show from a half hour to an hour next year and doing 3 independent films as opposed to 2. So every episode will have 3, and then the 4th film will be chosen by one of you out there. So we're looking forward to seeing what you try to stump us with and try to get us to watch. As it's become,
I will not watch I Spit on Your Grave, though.
Okay.
I'm telling you that now. I will not watch the original, and I will not watch the remake. those are films that, as great as they are, you only watch them once.
All right. To recap our list, here's Bryan Tann's 12 through 6. His number 12 was Our Happy Place. His number 11 was Night Call. His number 10 was Eddington. His number 9 was Scrap. His number 8 was Rockies. His number 7 was Everyone Asked About You. And his number 6 was Swingbound. My top 12 was The Queen of the Ring was number 12. Night Call was number 11.
Hey,
Everything About You, Everyone Asked About You is number 10. Sallywood is number 9. A Summer Night is a Hot Summer Night is number 8. My number 7 is Our Happy Place, and number 6 is Trigger Happy. I will say that there might be 1 or 2 movies that Bryan picked in his top 12 that will appear on my Sunday list, but you'll have to wait till Sunday to find that out. And why, Bryan?
because it's always time to go indie now.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you Sunday.